I'll launch straight into it. Fredrik, the album, The Last Will and Testament, should us as Opeth fans be reading into the last will and testament, i.e. the end of a life, and applying it to the band? Tell us this isn't your last album.
It's not.
Good.
Yeah.
But I got that question before, actually, and I understand it. But no, it's about the concept of the album. About this patriarch and his testament to his children, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, very good.
But with that said, I know when Michael, he writes most of the stuff. He always treats every Opeth album like it would be the last,
which is a good thing. I don't think that's a bad thing at all.
No, I mean it probably pushes your creative side to overachieve yourself, hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. Stefan Bowman, who's worked with everyone from Roxette to Avicii to Ghost. Now, when you get to a point of doing an album like this, do you start going for a producer for their ethic more than the sound that they can produce?
Well, with Stefan, we worked with him on Encounter Venom as well. And me personally worked with him because I played guitar on Impera with Ghost.
Yeah,
and we did kind of all the reamping of the guitar tone kind of thing. We together designed that kind of thing. So for us, I mean, he used to have a studio with the band Kent, a very popular band in Sweden.
Yep.
Massive. But he sold that studio and bought. He's a part owner of another studio here in Stockholm called Atlantis, which is a classic one. It's been around since like 50s, 60s, something. Has a lot of history, especially ABBA. You have the early ABBA albums still there. But anyhow, we got along really well with Stefan, and Michael feels comfortable working with him as well. So this time around, we brought him over to Wales, to Rockfield Studios for our third time recording there. And it turned out it was a good combo. So this was the first time we went with Stefan to a residential studio, and him working with the local guy Tom there was a perfect match. Who knew the studio, and it was very efficient. And he's a cool guy to work with. He doesn't get upset. He doesn't have like a ego or any freaky stuff going on.
Well, I thought that was just a Swedish thing, that there is no ego.
Well, I think you're right, but there is. Yeah. You find those people.
Oh, yes.
But you have this kind of thing and mentality in Sweden. You should not be better than anyone else, kind of thing. Yeah.
There's a name for that, isn't there? Like in Swedish?
Yeah, jantelagen.
We call it tall poppy syndrome in Australia.
Tall poppy. All right.
Or fuckheads. But I mean, you can go all over the world. It doesn't really matter. Now, as you can tell, Ben out of us two is the more gearhead, and there will be some gear related questions here.
Yeah, I'm so intrigued, but I see in your back you have a lot of vinyls, and it looks brilliant with the lights. I love it.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. Well, that's what we do, because we're working for the same outlet. So we try and make it different. So Ben's very much vinyl and guitars. I'm very much just vinyl. And I'm not sure if you noticed because it's out of focus, but Blackwater Park, this seems to be the most revered Opeth album. Would you agree with that?
I know as a vinyl collector, that's probably the most priciest one. If you find the original. Yeah, that's what you meant, right?
Actually, while we're at, you asshole. I mean, not you, Fredrik. I mean, you. Actually, speaking of vinyl, because we're vinyl collectors, Ben, you've got a question. Let's call it a little bone to pick with an Opeth release not on vinyl yet.
Well, it is on vinyl, but it hasn't been out for a long time, and it's actually the second album you recorded with Opeth, Fredrik. I have every single Opeth album on vinyl, except for the Heritage album. Now, I believe that there was a 2015 release of it, but are there any future plans for a re-release of that? Being that it's been 13 years on Friday.
I grill the guy about it.
I mean, that is a good question, and I think that should happen. But we were really happy about the mix on that one.
So maybe a remaster.
like in Cloud of Venom, the last one, we weren't really happy with the vinyl mastering the first release. That's why we redid it, and the later one sounds so much better.
Yeah,
it's remastered and re-graved, or what do you call it when you do the actual graving?
Yeah, it's such a complicated process, isn't it? To get it just right. And
yeah, I mean, Michael is a super vinyl nerd, and I'm also collecting vinyl.
Yeah.
We can go into my boy room soon, and you can see it.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Yes, please.
It also has gear.
Oh, gear's
there
good
we
too.
go. We're in.
But anyhow, I think that I don't rule that out that it will happen. But as far as I know right now, it's not going to happen. But there is a new mix of the Sorceress album.
Yes.
That is in the pipeline, that will be released at some point, which sounds killer. Yep. That's actually Stefan Boman remixed and remastered. So that's going to be out anytime soon.
So maybe that will lead down further pathways to remixing albums and things down the track one day. Which, if you're happy with Stefan,
I'll definitely bring it up to the table since you asked. It's a good, good question. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Just putting it in the back of someone's mind is all it needs.
It can help. Yeah. It can help the situation.
Go ahead.
With the last
I'm looking at I'm looking at my chili plants here.
Oh.
We're watching them grow. I have to put them in the sun. There we go.
That's a good idea.
It might be the filter, but it looks like I've been drinking heavily.
I did have a whiskey before the chat today, so yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, I'm super hungover because our guitar tech was here last night, so I had to take him out for a curry and pub.
Yes,
I woke up 10 to 11. Fuck, I have interviews to do.
Oh, you're right, man. That's not a problem at all. What I was going to say about Last Will and Testament is you've got such an esteemed catalog that comes before you, right? Do you give that any thought at all when you're going in to make a new album, or do you just say, look, we don't care what anyone's expectations are. This is us right now?
I think the last option is what we do.
Yeah.
This is us right now, and we don't think about previous albums. We're in the now.
I love that.
This is a time print what Opeth is right now,
It's been like that way since as long as I've been following the band. So yeah, it's absolutely absolutely blown away by the album. I just want to go back on the production on this album.
Of course you do. Yeah.
Recently, about a year ago, you released the first 3 albums remastered at the Abbey Road studios with Miles Showell. Did that have any impact on the mastering for this album when you chose to do that?
Good question.
I think so, definitely, because we were talking about the vinyl. It's mastered in half speed, which will improve the sound quality. And that's something we've learned working with Miles since he remastered in Cloud of Venom, and also the 3 first albums, of course, which came out really good. I think
they sound great.
Yeah, it's a massive improvement, and so that he's like our mastering Martin Birch.
Yes, the other thing that has happened on this album is you've introduced a new drummer, Wateri. I think that's how you pronounce it. Maybe you can pronounce it.
How do you pronounce his name?
I mean, he's from Finland, so Valtteri.
Valtteri, okay.
But you can say Valtteri. We call him Walt.
Walt.
That's
and he's fine with that.
I watched the drum video that was uploaded recently, and wow, that man
did you watch the guitar one?
I did watch the guitar one. Yes,
Thank
of
you.
course.
Okay.
Of course. The guitar one was great. We'll get to your guitars soon. But I just want to say that man is an absolute machine. How are you feeling and how are you vibing with the drum changeover on the album?
Well, he's been great from the get-go. I mean, we got to do 3 tours with Valtteri before we started working on the new album, which was, of course, very important to see how he played and how he works as a person. And he's really easy and super ambitious. He's younger than us, so we kind of like suck a bit of his blood to feel rejuvenated or something. No, but it's very important for the longevity of Opeth, I would say. And
that's a big call. That is a big call.
Yeah, I mean, we were so happy when we started playing with him because he's an extreme metal drummer.
Yep.
but he also has the tentacles for the prog ear, more delicate side. He's really tasteful.
Yeah.
Which you can hear on the new album. He really nails everything, and he's a perfectionist and a nice bloke to hang around with, and that's a good quality for a drummer in our band.
It would be. Like going back to The Last Will and Testament, when you're about to do a track, so you know the song, you've rehearsed it, you've written it. When you're in the studio and you're going, all right, what guitar am I going to use for this? Is there any real thought process, or is it literally you gravitate towards a guitar? Like you've got the song, you got the riff, you got everything. This guitar's just screaming out to me.
A little bit like that, but like the basic idea, if you're talking about there's so many different layers of guitars on the album, like the solos, the leads, and the foundation, the rhythms, the heavy riffing.
Yeah.
Which is kind of step one when you record the album. That's what we start with. When it came to the foundation, the rhythm guitars, Mike wanted to have Strat kind of single coil, stringy type of tone, which is kind of efficient on this album because there's so much stuff going on, and they will cut through the mix better than like a humbucker tone, in a way, stacked a lot of guitars. So Mike was using a Telecaster, well, sort of like a humbucker, and I had a Fender Strat from 1970 that I did all the rhythms on. But I did have a little bit of a beefier pickup in it, like a DiMarzio FS2, which is a bit louder. So because like a regular single coil is a bit too, I don't know. I wanted a little bit more beef on it. But when it comes to the melodies, we purposely didn't bring too many guitars. Michael only brought one, and I brought like 5 or 6.
Joking.
That's crazy. I remember seeing some documentaries back in the day where like there was literally a video where Mikhail was just going, "Oh, it's just another Stratocaster, and here's another Stratocaster, and here's another Stratocaster." It was like Malmsteen, like just Strats everywhere for that, And so,
I think for this one, I brought 2 Stratocasters, and I had a Junior from 1955 there with a P90 in it, and I had 2 PRS guitars, one with the Floyd Rose that I used for some leads, and one like a Tremonti model with this Seymour Duncan Frankenstein humbuckers in it, Ed Van Halen style, which sounds killer. And then I had an SG from 1972. I was born in 72, so I've been collecting guitars from 72.
Yeah.
Amazing.
We can talk about the guitars for an hour, so I will stop right there.
Oh well, as you can see, I enjoy guitar chat very, very much. We'll stick to guitars, but did you, when you were recording this album, record through a specific amplifier and cabinet combination predominantly, or did you use a modeling sort of style that a lot of bands are moving to now?
No, we're old school in that way. So we brought, I brought a Plexi Marshall from 1972, again, 72, that I actually bought from John Norum. And then I have an old Friedman amp, the BE 100, which was one of the early ones that he soldered on his own, and I had the Friedman Deluxe. So we had 2 Friedmans, this Marshall, and we had the JTM Marshall, the new one, the 20 watts, that we used for some clean sounds. And we brought like 3 different 4x12 cabinets. But we ended up using the one that was at Rockfield Studios, an old Marshall from the 60s that really won the marathon. We did a shootout. Because the combination of the tube amp and the amplifier is crucial. But one thing that we did on top of this that was quite interesting that we hadn't done before, we used something called the Brown box.
Okay.
So we did like what Van Halen did back in the days. We took the voltage down. So even in a modern amp, I brought it because the old Plexis, they were made for 220 volts in the socket. And now we basically have 240, so you want to take it down to 220 to prevent any harm of the actual amp. But this time around, we took a more modern amp like the Friedman, who's designed for 240 volts, but we took it down to 200, which is equivalent to what Ed Van Halen did with US Power is 110. He took it down to 90. and something really happened with the tone. And I mean, it's kind of my role in Opeth to take care of this guitar stuff because Mike's not too interested, and he was like, "That's super nerdy, bringing that box." And then we listen, it's like, "Wow, you actually have a point." I can hear a difference.
That's why you hire a specialized guitar player in a band. I think that should be.
I'll speak for yourself. I don't want to get in the way of your erection here, Ben, talking about guitars and settings, but I will say this, that because we're just a couple of dumb Aussie Opeth fans, especially Ben, but the first single that you released was really hard to say. Have you heard the new Opeth single? Yeah, got no clue what that symbol verbalizes to. Like that S3, like what's that little symbol that the tracks on the album are for?
It is actually a symbol for paragraph. If you read it, Will and Testament, that is a paragraph sign.
That's paragraph 1, paragraph 2, paragraph 3, paragraph.
Exactly.
Oh, right.
So you can just write paragraph, and it's so confusing. And I was a bit worried, to be honest. And our management, they hated this, and the record label, they hated the idea. And Mike was really stubborn. No, it has to be paragraph. So initially, they wanted us to have titles in brackets, at least.
Oh, mate.
But because you can't, that symbol is not in your phone, like cell
it's
phone.
Not.
No,
it's not.
So of course, if you look at it in the business perspective, it's big fucking problem.
I think it probably created a controversy in a good way, because I mean, you're calling it paragraph, but everyone's calling it section early on. You know,
okay.
And yeah. So section 1, section 2, and then Fredrik releases a video calling it paragraph when he's in his guitar playthrough, and I'm like, what? Like, there's a lot of questions being asked about it, which is good, I think, for the album's. Yeah.
Okay, well that's good.
I
thought everybody's going to be confused. Apparently, that is also the issue.
It's such a fucking Opeth thing to do, though, and I think that's why you get a pass from it. So the album's been out since October 11. It's essentially been out for nearly a week. As far as you getting to...
It hasn't been out yet. We're in September.
Oh, sorry. I'm in September. Sorry. When you're in... Sorry. Fucking...
He's a time traveler, this man.
Damn it! When it comes to the anticipation of an album, is it that? Do you still get that magic like you did when you first joined the band? Like, holy shit, that's a new. I can't wait for people to hear it. And at the same time, is it the most frustrating point when you're about to release an album but haven't yet? When it comes to you being in the band?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's really exciting, and I mean, we've seen some of it because you guys have listened to the entire album, right?
Correct, yeah, exactly.
Yes. Yeah. So we get some response. We do a lot of interviews now, apparently. And also we release 2 tracks. And of course, I'm getting curious. I want to read the comments. And I still think it's as exciting as when I joined the band at Watershed. I do, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And especially maybe this album more than... Because this album is... special to me. They're all good. I'm happy with them all, but this one kind of assembles the old Opeth and the proggy Opeth and in a new direction and a step forward.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. And just on that that last point, the sound of this album does definitely resemble. It's almost like a halfway bridge, especially with the guitar sound, between some of the albums post Blackwater Park and that progressive era that you did with those last 4 albums. Did you consciously make a choice to make the guitars heavier on this album?
Yeah, because the growls are back too.
Yeah, that's a side note. Yeah.
We talked about. I mean, the guitar should play a bigger role than it did in Count of Venom. For me personally, it was maybe a little bit too much keyboards. And I fucking hate keyboards. No, sorry.
Me too.
No, that was a joke. I'm a terrible person.
No.
No, there was talk about give the guitars a bit more room, and I'm happy that Michael wanted me to play solos on almost every track. I mean, Paragraph 2 has like a little tapping thing, but apart from that, the solos was super important for me.
Yeah.
And I kind of wanted to treat them like little compositions within the songs. And this time around, the solos were different because I did them on my own. So I paid more afterthought to them. like on Encauda, I was improvising a few takes in Michael's studio, but this time around I did it in my little boy room, which you're soon about to see.
Oh, mate, bring it on, because I know that we don't have a long left, but Fredrik, thank you so much for your time. Show us what you got, man.
Yeah, it's a big mess in there. I'll prepare you. But this was one of the amps we used for like clean tones.
Oh, yep, we got the blur on. Yep.
So
That's
here
right,
you go.
that's right.
The ever shrinking room.
Dude, how many guitars are in there?
So this is like, I only used 2 amps here. There's some of them. This synergy that we used, and here's some vinyls.
Hey, yeah, that's
more,
an IKEA-Kallax, isn't it?
Some more
Kallax.
Some fucking stuff. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So that's
Oh
kind of
man,
the
that
studio.
is great.
That's an old signature ESP I got with Arch Enemy way back. And here's some vintage stuff. That's the Strat we used I used for the rhythms and the last solo, the battle solo, and the Paragraph 3. That Strat is from 1970. Couple of Les Paul and the SG. But I got another cool guitar here. That's actually signed by Michael Schenker. This one, like an old Japanese Greco. So
that is brilliant.
That's
some stuff, but
frothing.
You think? Look, Fredrik, you've been an absolute beast of a guest, man. As up there with your guitar playing. Thank you so much for taking the time out for us, man. And that new album, that's going to be, no shit, that is going to be what this decade's going to be remembered for as far as Opeth goes. That's going to be even harder to beat now. Do you ever put much thought into, shit, how are we going to follow this up?
Not yet, but there will be a time for that.
We'll see. We'll see.
Look at this one.
Oh!
Yes.
That's called Yggdrasil from the Northern mythology.
Oh, it's so cool. Oh, wow, Fredrik. You've had some time to collect some guitars over the years, haven't you? Very, very good. I'm just Dude, absolutely blown away by it.
Mate, look, Fredrik, we can't wait. When are you coming back to Australia?
We are just about. There's a lot of emails about that right now, and I think quite soon there will be something official about that. But it won't happen this year. But it's not much left of this year. We're doing America right now, and but I would say 99.9% next year.
Well,
but I can't reveal any dates. But I know some dates. But it will happen. It's super important for us, and you always treated us really nice. And it's one of our strongholds, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely it is.
Well, make sure you don't skip Adelaide, and I'll be happy. And I'll make sure that will be good. A lot of bands do that, you see, because it's the in-between scene.
Yeah, I mean, we played Adelaide. I hope it's in there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
no, wonderful.
Perfect, mate. Now, Fredrik, thank you so much again, my friend. And we'll hopefully see you next year. And congratulations on the new album. It is savage, my friend. Absolute savage.
Thanks for talking to me. And I hope to see you when we're around in Australia.
We'll see you very soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
This was a really fun interview. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.